Chapter 17. The Great Mughals. Let's learn. Babur 1526 to 1530, Humayun 1530 to 1540 and 1555 to 1556. Sher Shah of the Sur dynasty 1540 to 1545, Akbar 1556 to 1605, Jahangir 1605 to 1627, the Mughal court Shah Jahan 1628 to 1657, Aurangzeb 1658 to 1707. The greatest flourishing of northern Indian culture, art and imperial strength undoubtedly took place during the reign of Mughal monarchs of the 16th and 17th centuries. The Mughals were Central Asian descendants of the great Mongol warriors Genghis Khan, mother's side, and Timur from father's side. Unlike other invaders who plundered India for its wealth and splendor, the Mughals wanted a stable political power. They began humbly from a small stretch of land, then eventually their empire extended from Agra and Delhi to the entire Indian subcontinent. They enforced a new administrative system of governance, the basics of which last even today, and they ruled for more than 2 centuries. Let's know more about the first 6 Mughal emperors, who are also known as the Great Mughals. Babur 1526 to 1530. Babur, the Timurid ruler of Fergana, was the founder of Mughal dynasty in India. He was forced to leave his ancestral throne due to the invasion of another Mongol group, the Uzbeks. After a lot of struggle, he seized Kabul in 1504. He came to India in 1526 at the request of an Indian governor who sought Babur's help in his fight against Ibrahim Lodi, the last ruler of the Delhi Sultanate. Babur's forces crushed Ibrahim Lodi's army in the Battle of Panipat in 1526. It was largely due to Babur's access to artillery and gunpowder, both of which were in short supply on Lodi's side, though Lodi's army was much bigger than Babur's. In the following year, he defeated Rana Sanga of Mewar at Khanua 1527, Rajputs at Chanderi 1528, and then the Afghan chiefs at Ghagra 1529. All these conquests helped Babur to lay the groundwork for his own dynasty, the Mughals. Babur ruled until 1530. He left behind a handwritten memoir that recounted almost 40 years of his adventures, ideas and opinions. This autobiography, the Baburnama or Tuzuki-Babri, is one of the earliest known autobiographical works in the Islamic world. This account also describes the physical features, climate, animals, birds, fruit, flowers, and life of the people and places he visited. Humayun 1530 to 1540 and 1555 to 1556. Babur was succeeded by his son Humayun, who gave the empire its first distinctive features. Humayun kept a tentative hold on the family's new possessions, but without a proper system of administration, he had to overcome many hurdles. His brothers Kamran, Hindal and Askari, who were given the charge of small territories, were dissatisfied. The Mughal kingdom was surrounded by threats from all sides. The Rajputs, Bahadur Shah, the ruler of Gujarat, and the Afghan chieftains were preparing to overcome Humayun. Sher Shah was an Afghan chieftain who had established a powerful kingdom in East India and wanted to expand it to the north. Humayun was not a very strong leader. Humayun and Sher Shah fought for the first time in 1532, where Humayun won and captured the fort Chunar. Later in 1534, he defeated Bahadur Shah and annexed Gujarat and Malwa, but in the years 1539 and 1540, in the battles at Chausa and Kannauj, respectively, he suffered humiliating defeats at the hands of extraordinary commander Sher Shah Suri. He escaped to Persia in 1540 to run away from the clutches of this powerful enemy and stayed there in exile for 15 years. During this period, Sher Shah established the Sur Empire and reigned supreme in India. Sher Shah proved to be a much better ruler with astonishing administrative capabilities. Sher Shah's demise cleared the way for Humayun as he saw a chance to reassert his claim to the throne. Sher Shah's son Islam Shah could not keep up his father's accomplishments. The dispersed Suri states fighting among themselves were no big trouble for Humayun. In 1554 he attacked them. Finally in 1555 the dream hold of Delhi became reality. In 1556 Humayun died a tragic death falling off the stairs of his library, Sher Mandal. He was succeeded by his able and competent son Akbar. Sher Shah of the Sur dynasty 1540 to 1545. Sher Shah was the son of an Afghan Jagirdar in Sasaram, Bihar. Apart from being a great military leader, he was a very capable administrator and is known for his rule and the reforms he introduced. His administration was very efficient and strict. Info Hive. Sher Shah's original name was Farid Khan. He got his name Sher after he killed a tiger. He raised a powerful army and territories including the modern-day states of Bihar, Jharkhand and West Bengal were taken under his control. He defeated Humayun twice and consolidated his reign in North India. The empire was divided into provinces known as Sarkars, which were further subdivided into Parganas, and these were again divided into smaller units. He is believed to be the first one to introduce the currency rupaiya and paisa, and also credited with the introduction of custom duty, which is followed even today. He respected all religions and looked after the welfare of his subjects. Info Hive. Sher Shah's Grand Trunk Road connected Sonar Gaon in present-day Bangladesh to Peshawar now in Pakistan. He built many inns, mosques and laid down an extensive network of roads, the most famous among them being the Grand Trunk Road. He died in 1545 and was succeeded by his son Islam Shah, who was later overthrown by Humayun in 1555, which ended the Sur rule. Akbar 1556 to 1605. Akbar reigned from 1556 to 1605 and extended his empire as far to the west as Afghanistan and as far south as the Godavari River. He was the greatest ruler of Mughal dynasty and hence is also called the Akbar the Great. However, he was only 13 years old when Humayun died, therefore Bairam Khan was appointed as Akbar's regent. Akbar's conquests. Akbar defeated Hemu, the general of Afghan forces, in the Second Battle of Panipat 1556. After a few years he ended the regency of Bairam Khan and took over. Akbar was an ambitious ruler and wanted to build up a mighty and extensive empire. He then conquered and annexed Gwalior, Ajmer and Jaunpur. In 1561, he invaded Malwa and compelled its ruler Baz Bahadur to submit to his authority. In 1564, Akbar sent a large army under the command of Asaf Khan against the central Indian state of Gondwana and captured it. He also made friendly alliances with the Rajputs. But the proud and noble Sisodia prince, Rana Pratap of Mewar, refused to offer submission. Akbar conquered Chittor and Ranthambore in 1568 and later defeated Rana Pratap in the Battle of Haldi Ghati in 1576. Info Hive. The Ain-e-Akbari, the third volume of Akbarnama, deals with Akbar's administration, household, army, the revenues and the geography of his empire. He also conquered Gujarat and Bengal and annexed parts of Odisha. He also overran large territories in central India. In the northwest, Kashmir, Sindh, Kandahar and Kabul were added to Mughal Empire. In the south, Akbar brought Berar, Khandesh and a part of Ahmednagar under his control. Having completed all his conquests, Akbar now controlled a very vast empire extending from Bengal in the east to Afghanistan in the west, comprising Kabul and Kandahar. In the north, it stretched from the mighty Himalayas to the Godavari in the Deccan. In 1605, Akbar died and was buried at Sikandra near Agra, the capital of Mughal Empire. Akbar's policies. Akbarnama gives a detailed account of Akbar's policies during his reign. He was a liberal-minded, enlightened ruler who intended to rule the two religious communities of India, Muslims and Hindus, in a new way by consensus and cooperation. Rajput policy. He treated the Rajputs with great respect and never humiliated them after they were defeated. They were allowed to rule their kingdoms and their internal matters were never interfered with. In 1562, Akbar married a Rajput princess, daughter of the Raja of Amber, now Jaipur. She became one of his senior wives and the mother of his heir Jahangir. He gave high posts to Rajputs during his rule. Raja Man Singh and Raja Birbal were his two trusted officials who helped him in his conquests. Religious policies. The Mughal state followed a policy of tolerance and all sects were accepted without persecution. Akbar had realized quite early that to be secure on the throne and to stabilize a firm Mughal rule in India, it was in the fitness of things that he won over the hearts of Hindus who comprised the majority in India. In 1562, he abolished a tax levied on pilgrims travelling to Hindu shrines. In 1564, he put an end to a much more controversial source of revenue, the jizya or annual tax on non-believers. Akbar also abolished the practice of enslaving families of prisoners of war. He allowed the construction of Hindu temples and even provided grants to build them. He participated in many Hindu festivals and even had the Hindu holy books translated into the Persian language. Ibadat Khana. The Ibadat Khana or house of worship was a prayer or a meeting room built by Akbar at his palace in Fatehpur Sikri. He started discussions and debates on religion with the ulema, Brahmanas, Jesuit priests who were Roman Catholics and Zoroastrians. Mughal Emperor Akbar 1556 to 1605 holds a religious assembly in the Ibadat Khana. Deen-e-Ilahi. Over time, Akbar's fascination with religion grew to almost an obsession when he fashioned his own faith called Deen-e-Ilahi. Deen-e-Ilahi was a diverse mix of the other religions. Akbar had studied during theological debates. He compiled what he saw as the best components of each and blended them into the melange that became Deen-e-Ilahi. The Deen-e-Ilahi has been characterized as Tawhid-e-Ilahi or divine monotheism. It was a simple path that emphasized belief in one God and involved the worship of the sun, fire and other elements. Suli-Kul, universal peace, was a prominent feature of Deen-e-Ilahi, which intended to strengthen the ties of Hindus and Muslims. Deen-e-Ilahi also advocated against the custom of sati and animal sacrifice. It was not a religion but a code of moral conduct. The new faith, however, was never appreciated by the Hindus and Muslims outside of his court. Despite this failure, Akbar never stopped to support religious tolerance among his people. With Akbar's death and facing constant criticism, Deen-e-Ilahi faded away. Jahangir, 1605 to 1627. Akbar's son Salim ascended the throne as Jahangir, which means conqueror of the world. Jahangir consolidated the gains made by his father. The courtly culture of Mughals flourished under his rule. Jahangir's conquests. Conquests of Jahangir were mainly directed to those places which were left unconquered by Akbar, such as Mewar and South India. In 1606 itself, Jahangir faced the rebellion of his son Khusro, but it was personally suppressed by Jahangir. The first military campaign undertaken by Jahangir was against Rana Amar Singh of Mewar. In 1613-14, the campaign led by Khurram, known as Shah Jahan, proved decisive and Rana Amar Singh was defeated by the Mughals in 1615. Jahangir offered most liberal terms to Mewar if they would be loyal to the Mughals. In 1620, Jahangir conquered Kangra. Jahangir wanted to conquer the Deccan also. Therefore, from 1608 onwards, a number of military expeditions were sent by Jahangir against Ahmednagar, but the Mughal frontier in the Deccan did not extend a single mile from where it was since 1605, primarily because of the brilliant defense organized by Malik Ambar, the military commander of Ahmednagar. The greatest failure of Jahangir's reign was the loss of Kandahar to Persia, as the major trade routes between India and West Asia passed through Kandahar. Traders from West. In 1612, English traders from England came and established a trading post at Surat. Sir Thomas Roe, the ambassador of English king, visited the court of Jahangir in 1615 and was granted many trading rights and concessions by Jahangir. Brain tickler. The Mughals followed the custom of co-parsonary inheritance. What does that mean? Noor Jahan. Noor Jahan, wife of Jahangir, was one of the most influential women in the time of Jahangir's reign. Once when Jahangir fell ill, she managed the political affairs. She was uniquely positioned to brilliantly utilize her skills in administration, politics, economics and culture. She approved all orders and grants of appointment in Jahangir's name and also had coins struck in her name. Noor Jahan acquired all the rights of government, becoming virtually in charge of the whole empire until the emperor died in 1627. Prince Khurram revolted during the last years of Jahangir, since he was alarmed at Noor Jahan's growing power. However, the personal ambitions of Noor Jahan were not realized, and after Jahangir's death, she retired from public life. Jahangir as a ruler. Jahangir followed his father Akbar's secular policies. He continued friendly relations with the Rajputs. He was a people's ruler and cared for the well-being of all. Jahangir was a well-read man. His love of flowers and animals is reflected in the numerous miniatures painted by artists who shared their master's keen eye for the beauty of nature. Mughal painting reached its peak during his reign. He is famous for the chain of justice that he had installed in his palace. This system allowed a complainant to speak directly to the emperor. Shah Jahan, 1628 to 1657. Prince Khurram ascended the throne as Shah Jahan, ruler of the world, after he defeated his brothers. Shah Jahan was a patron of the arts and commissioned hundreds of paintings and engravings for his palaces. Shah Jahan's conquests. During the reign of Shah Jahan, Mughals faced revolts from Bundela Rajputs, but those were suppressed easily. He extended the boundary of the Mughal Empire. While Ahmednagar was completely annexed to Mughal Empire in 1633, Bijapur and Golconda were forced to sign peace treaties and pay annual tributes to the emperor. Later, Shah Jahan wanted to bring Central Asia under his control, but he was not successful in his battle with the Persians for the control of Balkh and Badkhshan. Kandahar. Kandahar too continued to remain under the Persians. The European traders expanded their trade activities in different parts of the Mughal Empire. Some Portuguese traders tried to evade payment of custom taxes. Therefore, Shah Jahan subjugated them and made them trade on his terms. Under the rule of Shah Jahan, trade, industry and agriculture flourished, and the state as well as the subjects enjoyed prosperity during his reign. The greatest accomplishment of this great ruler was the architectural structures and monuments created in that period, which included the Taj Mahal at Agra, Jama Masjid Delhi, Red Fort Delhi, Moti Masjid Agra Fort, and the tomb of Jahangir, Lahore, now in Pakistan. He also built the city of Shah Jahanabad, the seventh city of Delhi, which was made his capital. After Shah Jahan fell ill in 1657, all his four sons Dara Shikoh, Shah Shuja, Aurangzeb and Murad started fighting among themselves for the throne. It was Aurangzeb who killed Dara Shikoh and imprisoned his own father to become the emperor. Aurangzeb, 1658 to 1707. Aurangzeb was the last of the great Mughal emperors who ruled for a span of 49 years. During his reign, the Mughal Empire covered almost the whole of India. His reign is divided into two phases from 1658 to 1680, when he was in north, and 1681 to 1707, when he was in south. Revolts. Aurangzeb had increased the land tax from 1/3 to 1/2, which fueled many revolts in northern India. Aurangzeb had to face revolts of the Jats of the Agra-Mathura region, the Satnamis, the Bundelas, the Sikhs, the Rajputs and the Marathas. He had to spend his life suppressing these revolts one after another. The last 26 years of his life were spent in the Deccan in trying to crush down the Marathas and get a firm hold. He conquered Bijapur in 1686 and Golconda in 1687. But these conquests were of no use to the empire, as these regions were too far from the capital Agra to be administered effectively. The Marathas were very strong, and it became difficult to control them. He made no efforts to establish peace with them, and the constant warfare emptied the royal treasury, and a large number of Mughal soldiers were killed. As he remained in the Deccan suppressing the revolts, the northern region was deeply affected and administration collapsed. Revolts also were seen in north from the Sikhs, Jats and Satnamis. Aurangzeb the ruler. Unlike the previous Mughal emperors, Aurangzeb lived a very simple life. He kept away from opulence. He used to wear simple clothes and even worked for his food. He used to stitch caps and copy the Quran in order to earn his livelihood. He was a devout Muslim who offered the namaz 5 times a day regularly. Due to all these qualities, he was called the Zinda Peer or living saint. He was against Akbar's policy of tolerance and received a lot of criticism when he reintroduced jizya. All these contributed to the gradual decline of the Mughal Empire. The Mughal court. The Mughal court had the emperor seated on the throne, and others were provided specific places to sit or stand. The important dignitaries were placed closer to the emperor. Kurnish and Taslim were performed during Akbar's reign along with Sijda and Praibos. Diwani Khas or Hall of Private Audience was used by the emperor for the reception of important guests such as kings, ambassadors and nobles in private, and to deal with important affairs of the state. Diwani Aam or Hall of Public Audience was the place where the emperor addressed the general public as well as the nobility. In the 17th century, the court was divided into the liberals and the orthodox. Akbar, Jahangir and Shah Jahan are known to be tolerant rulers, hence liberals were dominant in religious issues, but the scenario changed during Aurangzeb's time, as the orthodox clergy were given an upper hand. Administration. The administration during the Mughal period was a blend of the Central Asian and Indian traditions. The ruler enjoyed the supreme power, and the monarchy was centralized. In the central administration, the emperor was the supreme power. He had control over the civil and military administration. The hierarchy of the officials in the Mughal administration was as follows: the Wazir, the Prime Minister; the Diwan, the head of Revenue Department; the Mir Bakshi took care of the military; the Khane-Saman looked after the needs of the royal household; the Sadri Sadur maintained account of the grants given by the emperor; the Qazi, the chief judge. The provincial administration was governed by dividing the kingdom into several provinces called Suba, which was headed by a governor called Subedar. Generally, princes were made Subedars. A Subedar had some authority in his Suba, but functioned under the overall authority of the emperor. Each Suba was further divided into Sarkars or districts, which were further divided into Parganas or Tehsils. There were a number of villages in each Pargana. The administration of a Pargana was under a Kotwal, who was responsible for the maintenance of law and order. His office was the Kotwali. He also maintained records about the people and trade practices such as weights and measurements. The revenue administration was quite effective. The two main sources of income were the land and the trade. Todarmal, the revenue minister of Akbar, introduced the Todarmal's bandobast. According to this system, land was measured properly with a measuring device, a rod made of bamboo reeds joined together by iron rings. Earlier land used to be measured with a rope which shrunk when dry and got elongated when wet. This would not give accurate measurements. The land was categorized as good, average or bad after it was measured, and revenue was fixed as per the fertility of soil. In 1580, the cash rates of the produce were fixed on the basis of the average prices during the last 10 years. Though cash payment was preferred, the peasants retained the option to pay the revenue in kind. Usually 1/3 of this figure was the state's share. The above system of revenue was popularly known as Zapti or Dasala system, which prevailed in the provinces of Bihar, Delhi, Allahabad, Lahore, Multan, Agra, Oudh, Malwa and certain parts of Gujarat. The Mughal emperors encouraged both domestic and overseas trade by giving many facilities and concessions to traders. Info Hive. India under Mughals had trade relations with China, Central Asia and Europe and exported textiles, spices, indigo and saltpeter to them. A new system was introduced in the Mughal army administration, which was called the Mansabdari system. The term Mansab, that is office, position or rank, indicated the rank of its holder, Mansabdar, in the official hierarchy. His rank determined his salary and his military responsibilities. During later years of his reign, Akbar introduced the rank of Zat and Sawar in the Mansabdari system. Every Mansabdar had to maintain as many soldiers as were indicated by his rank of Zat, while the rank of Sawar indicated the number of horsemen among them. Zat ranks ranged from 10 to 10,000. Zat above 5,000 were given only to princes. The Mansabdar received their pay through assignments of Jagirs. The tax from the Jagir was equal to his salary and he was expected to collect the revenue from his Jagir. The Jagirs were by nature transferable and no Mansabdar was allowed to retain the same Jagir for a long period. The Mansab was not hereditary and it automatically lapsed after the death or dismissal of the Mansabdar. Agriculture. Agriculture was the main source of revenue in the Mughal era, which was utilized to maintain armies, administrative equipment and provide upkeep of the kings, nobles and jagirdars. A large number of crops, including both food as well as cash crops, were cultivated by applying different advanced techniques. The agricultural productivity increased fivefold towards the end of the Mughal rule. Loans were granted to buy agricultural implements, and peasants were encouraged to cultivate more land on the condition that they would be exempted from tax for the first few years. Rain tickler. Which crops were grown in the Mughal period? What kind of irrigation system prevailed at that time? However, the life of peasants was affected badly. We will study about it in Class 8. However, the life of peasants was affected badly. We will study about it in Class 8. Peasants paid taxes through the rural elites, that is, the zamindar or headman or the local chieftain. Increasing demand for revenue made many peasants landless, and in most places, peasants worked for wages on zamindar's land. Recap. The 6 great Mughal rulers were Babur, Humayun, Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb. The Mughal Empire came into being after Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi at the Battle of Panipat in 1526. Sher Shah Suri defeated Humayun and established his empire in India. He was an able military commander and administrator. Akbar became the emperor at the age of 13 and proved to be the greatest Mughal ruler. Jahangir and Shah Jahan continued with the policy of religious tolerance of Akbar and ruled well.